I keep thinking about Stalker 2. The darkness in the world that once scared me, the unknown that fills the zone, is now the same thing that's pulling me back to the game. Nearly 2 years later, and a DLC coming in the next couple months. What used to feel like danger now feels like something I can sort of understand. A world that I can't quite let go of. And maybe I don't have to. Maybe it's time to go back into the zone. I just can't figure out why. When I first stepped into the zone, I didn't want to be there. That's the simplest way to put it. Its faint, washed out colors, the abandoned looking world. You're not even exploring, just surviving. I felt weak, like a vulnerable target in the beginning. I stuck to roads to avoid as many buildings as possible until I absolutely had to go into them. And every distant noise would make me question whether I was going in the right direction. You see, I was waiting for the warm, vibrant feeling, but it never really came. I started to realize that you don't have companions, backup, or even friends. You pass through small stalker camps, firelight in the middle of the darkness, a few voices talking about artifacts or supplies, and even there, it doesn't feel safe, just a temporary pause in the chaos, while you avoid what's coming next. Then, I reached that point, and I accepted that what I was doing I was going to do completely alone. To stop avoiding the unknown. Welcome the potential danger and pray you get something out of it. I wish I was being dramatic, but I'm not. Once you get to that point in the game, the world feels different. The dark sewer holes, the abandoned buildings and worn down shacks no longer look like something intimidating, like a horrifying situation, but more of an actual opportunity. You start going into places you would have avoided before. The abandoned anomaly site you once circled around, now you're walking straight into it because you have to know what's inside. The silence stops being something you fear and starts becoming something you listen to. You welcome the jump scares. Even the danger becomes part of the pull. But the danger doesn't disappear. You just get used to it. You're still alone, but now you're willingly alone. You don't fear the darkness or the mutants. You only fear not finding enough ammo and loot to keep you alive for another day. Walking through the zone at night, hearing distant gunfire echo across fields, passing stalker camps where people barely ever acknowledge you, it all starts to feel normal. Not safe, just normal. I didn't want it to be this way, but you either adjust or you won't make it through the zone. The longer you stay in Stalker 2, the more you understand something uncomfortable. The zone doesn't react to you, and it's not supposed to. It existed before you arrived, and it will continue long after you or anyone else leaves. You come across pockets of human life, what's left of humanity. The stalkers gathered around a campfire, A friendly crew walking through a pitch-dark field, surrounded by danger. You walk through storms that roll across the landscape, swallowing entire areas in darkness, wind, and lightning. There are moments where you stop to just look at all of it. Because the zone, the map, is genuinely striking. But it never feels welcoming. Not in the way most of us are used to these massive worlds. And then there's the poppy field. Oh, the poppy field. The most beautiful area in the Stalker world. Rolling hills, red vibrant poppies covering the ground and flowing through the wind, making the world look warm and colorful for once. On the surface, it looks peaceful, almost calm, and even a stranger would think it was. But in this world, beauty is never what it seems. Look closer and you first find bodies. Skeletons of stalkers that fell into the trap of the poppy fields. The poppy field's beauty draws you in and slowly makes you tired and sleepy, but once you fall asleep, you never wake up. And then there are the places that feel like they've already been erased. Entire towns that once had life in them now sit hollow, buildings stripped of meaning, interiors swallowed up by dust and darkness. You walk through them and you can almost imagine what they used to be for, but the game never lets you stay in that imagination for long. Something always reminds you that whatever once lived here is gone now. Everything here feels like it's already finished, and you're just passing through the aftermath. It's cold, indifferent, and gigantic. And you're just inside all of it for a while. At first, everyone in the zone feels the same. Just faces in camps, voices in the dark, people you trade with or pass by without thinking twice about it. Names come and go so quickly that they don't really stick. You can meet someone, they talk about supplies, mutants, a job, or a rumor, and then you move on. That's the Stalker life. And for a while, the world lets you forget them. That's kind of the strange part. So much of the time, I can't even remember if I met some of these stalkers and people before. But at some point, something changes. The most memorable character, with the most beautiful, tragic landscape in the background, Richter. He feels like your only friend in this dark world, and I mean your only friend. But he's not the only one that matters. Eventually you realize something a bit unsettling. The characters you actually remember aren't always the ones the game highlighted. The random stalker at a campfire who told you about a route through the swamps, the trader who warned you about a place you ignored, or a group you passed by during a storm that seemed irrelevant at the time. That dialogue in those stories can come back to haunt your path. The only place where you can feel at home, even just for a bit, are the Stalker compounds. Rostok, Yanov Station, Skatovisk. I remember arriving at Rostok for the first time, maybe 80 hours into the game. By that point, my brain had already accepted the dark, unknown world. I wasn't looking for the warmth anymore. But then you reached the compound. Security out front, then the warm Christmas lights hanging in the bar, couches, vodka, people walking around, the market with vendors, beds, and engineers. The only place that feels warm, but don't get used to it. The other face that does stick out in the zone, and I can clearly remember even now, is Strider. Strider's story is tragic because it begins long before Stalker 2, as a faceless monolith soldier. Someone completely erased by the zone. For years, he exists only as part of a larger weapon with no real identity. You see, the monolith in Stalker 2 are a faction of brainwashed stalkers who pretty much worship the mysterious monolith. They are controlled by the zone's psychic influence, if that makes any sense. Strider was trapped as a monolith for years, until he broke free, just wanting to try and live a decent life, and he helped those who were also controlled, like him. But no one realized how easily he could be turned back. Even he didn't. Strider becomes a leader for others like him, lost souls who woke up inside a dangerous, dark world. His tragedy is that even after being freed, he was never fully free. And then his fate turns. He turns back, and when he succumbs once more to the monolith brainwashing signal, he attacks you, and Dr. Kamenov is forced to kill Strider. The most tragic character and arc in Stalker 2. And there's no way to save him. And after all that, Stalker 2 doesn't really feel like a story that ended, but a place you choose to leave and eventually come back to. I still think about running across those dark, wet, rain-soaked fields, carrying nothing but weapons, water, and energy drinks. The Rasta camp, the glow of those Christmas lights in the middle of the decaying world, and those rare moments of warmth in a place that otherwise never gives you any. It's a strange kind of beauty, only one that exists because of how hostile everything around it is. And now, even with the upcoming DLC, it doesn't feel like more content coming in the usual sense. It feels like going back, because remember, the zone doesn't care that you leave. Either way, it stays there.